The stadium seats were a sea of empty blue plastic where my parents should have been. I adjusted my graduation cap, the tassels swinging like a pendulum, counting down the seconds until my heart completely broke. Around me, families cheered, cried, celebrated. Fathers with proud smiles, mothers with tear-filled eyes, siblings waving enthusiastically. And then there was me, Emma Parker, first-generation college graduate, sitting completely alone in a crowd of 10,000 people. I checked my phone for the 100th time. No messages, no missed calls. The last text from my mother read, "So proud of you, honey. Wouldn't miss it for the world." Sent yesterday at 3:27 p.m., read at 3:28 p.m., no response to my 3 follow-up messages about parking details and ceremony times. The processional music began. We stood, a river of black robes flowing toward our futures. I kept scanning the crowd, hoping against hope to see them rushing in late, waving apologetically. But the seats I'd specifically reserved for them, aisle seats, easy access, remained empty. 4 years of working 35 hours a week while carrying 18 credit semesters. 4 years of eating ramen noodles until I never wanted to see another package again. 4 years of sleeping for hours a night, of missing parties, of saying, I have to study more times than I could count. All to become the first person in my family to earn a college degree, and they couldn't even show up. When they called Emma Parker magna cum laude, I walked across that stage alone. The applause felt hollow, the handshake meaningless. I accepted my diploma case and returned to my seat, the weight of my accomplishment suddenly feeling like the weight of my loneliness. The ceremony dragged on, name after name, cheer after cheer. I sat there, clutching the leather-bound case that represented 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and wondered what I'd done wrong. Had I not accomplished enough? Was magna cum laude not good enough? Should I have pushed for summer? Afterward, I stood outside the stadium, watching other graduates take photos with their families. A girl next to me had both parents, all 4 grandparents, 3 siblings, and what looked like a dozen aunts and uncles surrounding her. They passed around flowers, took turns hugging her, cried happy tears. I slipped away before anyone could ask where my people were. My apartment felt different when I returned. Smaller, dingier, the congratulations graduate banner I'd hung myself yesterday seemed pathetic now. The cheap champagne I'd bought to celebrate with my parents sat unopened on the counter. The 2 graduation cupcakes I'd picked up from the bakery, one chocolate, one vanilla, their favorites looked sad and lonely in their box. I sat on my second-hand couch still wearing my cap and gown, the diploma case on the coffee table in front of me. The silence was deafening. I'd imagined this moment so differently, my mother crying happy tears, my father giving me one of his rare but genuine hugs, both of them telling me how proud they were. Instead, I got nothing. I must have sat there for hours, because when my phone finally buzzed, the sun had set and my apartment was dark. For one glorious second, my heart leapt. They were coming. They'd been in an accident. There was a reasonable explanation. But the text wasn't an apology or an explanation. It was a demand. Mom, we need $2,100 for the car repair. The mechanic won't let us leave until we pay. I stared at the message, my graduation gown suddenly feeling heavy and ridiculous. No congratulations, no sorry we missed it. Just a demand for money. My fingers trembled as I typed back, I just graduated today. You didn't even show up, and you're asking me for money? Dad, don't be dramatic. Emma, we're family. Families help each other. Me, I have $217 in my bank account until my student loan disbursement comes through. I can't even pay my own rent right now. Mom, you're so selfish after everything we've done for you. We raised you. The least you could do is help us in an emergency. Then came the final message that shattered what little was left of my heart. If you do and send the money, we're calling the police. You have something of ours, and we'll report it stolen if you don't help us. I laughed a bitter, hollow sound in my empty apartment. What could I possibly have of theirs? The used laptop they'd gifted me for high school. The hand-me-down winter coat. The childhood stuffed animal I'd taken to college for comfort. 30 minutes later, the knock came. Two police officers stood at my door, their faces serious. "Ma'am, we have a report of stolen property. Your parents claim you have family heirlooms that belong to them." I stood there in my graduation gown, which I hadn't yet had the heart to take off, and felt the world tilt sideways. "Heirlooms," I whispered. "I don't have anything of theirs." One officer shifted uncomfortably. "They mentioned jewelry, a ring, and then I understood. The pearl ring my grandmother had given me on her deathbed. The one she specifically told me was mine because I was the one who would make something of myself. The ring I'd worn every single day of college as a reminder of why I was working so hard. My parents had watched me struggle for years. They'd seen me choose between textbooks and groceries. They'd known about the second-degree burns I got working at the campus cafe. And now they were trying to take the one thing my grandmother had left me because I wouldn't give them money they knew I didn't have. I invited the officers in, my hands shaking so badly I could barely open the door wider. Officer Martinez, the older of the two, looked around my modest apartment with kind eyes. The younger one, Officer Reynolds, maintained a professional distance. "Can you tell us about this ring?" Officer Martinez asked gently. I showed them my grandmother's ring, explaining its history. How she'd slipped it onto my finger just hours before she passed away. How she'd whispered, "You're going to do great things, Emma. This is to remind you that you come from strong women. My parents have never liked that she gave this to me." I explained, my voice trembling. They thought it should have gone to them, but Grandma specifically wanted me to have it. Officer Reynolds spoke for the first time. "Your parents are claiming it's a family heirloom that belongs to them and that you took it without permission. I've had this ring since I was 16, I said, tears finally spilling over. They've known about it the entire time. They were only doing this because I told them I could and give them money for their car repair. The officers exchanged a look. "Why don't you tell us the whole story?" Officer Martinez suggested. So I did. I told them about working 3 jobs through college. About my parents' constant demands for money even when they knew I was struggling. About how they promised to come to my graduation and then ghosted me. About the text messages demanding $2,100 just hours after I sat alone through what should have been one of the proudest moments of my life. When I finished, Officer Reynolds looked genuinely angry. Officer Martinez just looked sad. "Here's what we're going to do," Officer Martinez said. "We're going to tell your parents that this is a civil matter, not a criminal one. That they need to take this to court if they want to pursue it. But between you and me," he leaned forward slightly, "keep that ring somewhere safe, and maybe consider whether these are people you want in your life." After they left, I collapsed on my couch and cried great, heaving sobs that shook my entire body. I cried for the little girl who'd always tried so hard to earn her parents' love. I cried for the teenager who'd believed going to college would finally make them proud. I cried for the young woman who just learned that some people would never love you the way you needed to be loved. When the tears finally stopped, something in me had shifted. The heartbreak was still there, but beneath it was something new resolve. I stood up, took off my graduation gown for the first time, and folded it neatly. I put my diploma case on the bookshelf where I could see it every day. I took my grandmother's ring and put it in a safety deposit box the next morning. Then I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I blocked my parents' numbers. The first week was agony. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart leapt. Every time someone knocked on my door, I panicked. But slowly, the anxiety faded, replaced by a quiet peace I hadn't known was possible. I reached out to my grandmother's sister, my great-aunt Carol, who I hadn't spoken to in years because my parents had told me she was trouble. Turns out, she was only trouble because she stood up to my parents years ago about their treatment of me. She became the family I needed. She celebrated my graduation properly, taking me out to a nice dinner and giving me a beautiful journal to document the beginning of your real life. She helped me navigate my first post-college job search. She taught me what healthy love looked like. A month after graduation, I landed a good job with a decent salary. For the first time in my life, I wasn't worried about money. I could pay my rent without panic. I could buy groceries without calculating every penny. I could even save a little. My parents eventually reached me through a cousin, demanding to know why I'd cut them off. I sent them one final message. I've spent my entire life trying to earn your love. I've learned that love shouldn't have to be earned. I wish you well, but I won't be in contact anymore. They didn't respond. I didn't expect them to. Last week, I ran into an old family friend who told me my parents never had car trouble. They'd wanted money for a vacation they'd already put a deposit on. The police call had been a bluff to intimidate me into giving them what they wanted. Hearing this should have hurt, but it didn't. It just confirmed that I'd made the right choice. Today, I look at my life and see something I built myself. The diploma on my wall, the job I earned, the peace I've created, it's all mine. And the ring my grandmother gave me sits in a safe place, waiting for the day I might pass it down to someone I love unconditionally. Some families are bound by blood but broken by choice. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who would rather see you broken than see you succeed without them. The day I walked across that stage alone was the day I stopped waiting for someone else to validate my worth. And in the silence they left behind, I finally found my own voice.